Welcome to the Streets.mn podcast, the show where we highlight how transportation and land use can make our communities better places. Coming to you from beautiful Seward, Minneapolis, Minnesota, I am your host, Ian R. Buck. The puzzle of how to encourage people to choose sustainable forms of transportation has many facets, from building safe biking facilities to leveraging transportation demand management organizations. Mary Blitzer is aiming to fill the gaps in that puzzle by starting a private business to consult with people who want to integrate biking into their lives more. I sat down with her a few months ago before she launched the business to chat about it. Bicycle life. You said you didn't want to use the word coach, right?
I've come around to coach. I'm going with bicycle commute coach. Some people have liked the term guide. It seems perhaps too spiritual for me. But we're open right now. So Mary Blitzer, bike commute coach with Bike Anywhere.
I want to start with telling people who are you? How did you, what's your relationship with bicycling? And how did you kind of come towards this, starting your own consulting business around helping people commute is I've never heard of anybody in the world doing that before. So where did this come from?
Well, for me, the intersection has always been sort of people and nature, or people in the environment, people in the outdoors, etc. That has led me. I have an urban planning degree from the Humphrey School. I worked as a park ranger. That was my first one here along the Mississippi River.
Oh, nice.
Our stretch of the Mississippi River is actually a unit of the National Park Service. Mm-hmm. I feel like Streets.mn folks already know that or would like to know that.
Were you at the Science Museum little location then?
Sometimes. So what I did there was I led and designed programs getting thousands of people, a lot of youth, out on the Mississippi River in big Voyager canoes.
Ooh.
So thinking about how to build experiences that are safe, that are comfortable, get folks out of their comfort zone and happy outdoors is been my space. After that, we moved to Houston, Texas, where I started working in bike advocacy for really a startup nonprofit bicycling advocacy organization there, Bike Houston. I was the advocacy director and interim director there, and it was such a cool experience. I think going into it, especially people from the cities were like, oh, you're moving to Houston. How can you move to Houston, Mary? It's going to be terrible. And it was amazing. It was such a open culture, and I did ride my bike everywhere there and was found all the other bikey people. Nice. And we got their first bike plan passed in 20 years. I'm really proud of that work and the infrastructure that's been built as a result. The then mayor, who was very supportive, I have a day named after me, Mary Blitzer Day, in recognition of our efforts for safe cycling. There's a new mayor in town now, and he's not as interested in keeping people safe in all the ways they want to get around. But, what's built is built. So we're feeling like we've got that. And that was a really cool experience. And then we're able to come back north. And I started working for the Sierra Club, where I was at for the last 6 years as their engagement manager. So here for the Minnesota North Star chapter. And that work, it was fundraising, it was systems change advocacy, but maybe the most rewarding piece of that for me was as a coach, a mentor for our volunteer leaders. Mm-hmm. And in that space, supporting folks, whether that was in helping them do advocacy work, or I restarted our outings program and built that up and supported volunteers in becoming leaders outdoors or leading bike trips or what that means. And this year I was at an opportunity in life to try something different, and I think systems change is critical, and we must have that. And I also was really excited to try it on the individual scale and get back to that. Having lived in Houston and done that bicycling advocacy work, and all the time I've been living in Minneapolis for a total of 11 or 12 years, and as bicycling as my primary transportation source for all of that, just seeing the difference infrastructure makes. And Houston is more bike friendly than you think, but Minneapolis is more bike friendly than Houston. Sure. And just, you can get from most places, point A to point B around the metro in a safe, comfortable way. But not everybody who wants to ride or has thought about riding is riding. So I wanted to start Bike Anywhere, and it's my bike commute coaching business, as a way to sort of bridge that gap between the folks who maybe you've had the bike in your garage for the last 20 years, or maybe you ride it every Saturday, but you're just not sure about riding it to a destination.
Right.
And a couple of different examples, but really what I think sets me apart, or what it is providing that one-on-one, giving what a coach gives someone, encouragement, accountability, helps you set your goals, follow through on that, along with the knowledge of riding, safe riding, League of American Bicyclists techniques, some of that like road safety, traffic signaling, etc. things.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting that you reference like the difference between systems change and like individual actions, because like running a business that is going to help multiple people, make an individual choice, right? Make those individual changes. Like that is systems change, like what are systems but things that influence multiple individuals, right?
Thanks, Ian. Yes, it is both. And I do feel like maybe you can get, right, if you've been in the advocacy space, you can get bogged down in getting your policies passed. But I think it's a really radical act to be on a bike. It's one of the best ways to be fighting the system and to like feel that power and pride on being on your bike and showing that a different world is possible.
Yeah. So let's talk about like, what are the things that you are offering through your business?
So I think like my core model is about you want and I can give some examples of different types of people that friends that are like, oh, I would hire you. Here's what I need. And it ranges from some folks that need help with their route. So I've got a friend who wasn't able, had a medical issue, can't ride, is a mom, needs to be able to ride with her trailer and her kid to a destination, and doesn't like what she sees on Google Maps as the routes for her. So like figuring out a route that is going to fit her comfort needs. So some route planning. Some folks I think are needing gear advice and they want some help that way. So someone else that's a PT and she needs to bring equipment around to her patients' houses and isn't sure like literally how to get the equipment. So I've ridden with
puzzles.
a cargo bike, with the trailer, with the big trailer, whatever that is. So like figuring that out. I have another friend who does ride, is fit, could do it, but just isn't. And I think they really need the accountability. They're like, oh, you'd meet me in the morning. I would have to get up and do the ride. I've never actually done it. I'm like, yep, I'd meet you. We'd do it. So that some of it is just that pure, you want to make a new habit and thinking a lot about how do you change habits? What does it take? It takes making it a part of your routine. And then sort of at some point, people talk a lot about 21 days. It may be longer than that, but it flips in your brain and it's easier to get on your bike than it is to hop in the car or do whatever else it has been for you. The other couple of other just sort of cases that I can think of is a friend who is, she's in her 60s. She's had a fall. She needs to is interested in me coming out and just building her confidence back up. So sort of seniors that want, they want to ride again, but they've had something. So we need to practice together in a parking lot and then we need to go on a trail in those pieces. So the circle back, I think it's route planning. It's some road safety. The classes will all include road safety pieces that the League of American Bicyclists provides. It'll be an LCI. Also, gear advice. What do you need? And then that one-on-one coaching support. I'm checking in with you. We answered what are your goals. We're finding a route. We're maybe modifying it. And then that you have someone showing up and doing it. So it's that one-on-one piece. And then also included will be group classes and sessions that I think will help build things. So one is scheduled in Hopkins Library for riding with young families and just sort of, how do I do it? Should I use that cargo bike? What if my kid really wants to ride their Strider bike, but they get super tired halfway through? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And also just like classes that I think will be tailored for whether some apartment buildings, but also corporations. We all know there's a lot of corporations that are making their claims about sustainability and carbon reduction. And this would be a really real way to do it if they were hosting classes and then supporting their employees and actually having a bike commute coach, someone who's meeting them and making sure they really are riding to work and building that habit and trying the new thing.
Yeah. And that's, The other thing that came to mind when you first mentioned that you were starting up this business is like the fact that we have, transit management organizations like Move Minneapolis and Move Minnesota, right, that are working with, the municipalities to provide, resources and advice and everything for mostly for companies to help support their employees in taking transit or biking or whatever. And that's like there's some overlap with what you're doing, I feel like, but like you're finding a new niche that isn't quite.
It isn't quite there. I think, we have a lot of pieces of the bicycling and active transportation puzzle here, but we don't have anyone that is doing this one-on-one coaching piece of it. And I'm not geographically bound, right? I'm not like grant funded. Right. So I was out talking to someone in Robbinsdale and checking in with bike shops there. Like suburbs are great too. And I think a lot of those places, well, none of them would have someone right now who'd meet you at your house, right? You could schedule it. You'd plan your ride. You would do it. Yeah.
They host a lot of conferences and webinars and things. And it seems like it's mostly like online resources or, coming and talking at a company, having like a presentation and things. Yeah.
Which is awesome. Yeah. And then, the seeds sort of planted, but having you that next step and encouragement all the way through to doing in a couple of sessions feels hopeful that there's a need there that I'm able to fill. Yeah.
You mentioned, like young families who want to figure out how to, bring the kids along, and maybe they're on a Strider bike for a little while, but then they have to figure out, what happens when the kid gets tired. And you mentioned that you have a couple of kids, right? So I was almost expecting you to show up on like a long tail, cargo bike or something like that. But you're on a fairly, a classical, right, touring bike here. Like what has your journey been with your family and, figuring all of that out for yourself?
Yeah, I think I started riding a bike again in college, and it was, probably some listeners have had this experience of just like the sheer joy you get again. I hadn't been on the bike for 10 years or whatever. And it was so awesome, and have been riding as my primary transportation since. But when I became a mom, I almost would say bicycling is more important to me now because it gives me time and space for myself. So I have headspace on the bike to think. I have a workout built in. I'm outdoors. I can be bicycling along the river and have an eagle flying parallel with me, and it's amazing. So for me, it was been really important that I'm able to keep riding with my kids, and we ride all year with the kids, and did a research and thought a lot about when I could start riding with them, and we put their car seats in a trailer and felt like we could do that starting at 6 months. And I'm not a doctor. You can do your own checking on that. There's different ways parents are going to feel, but that's what we felt like was right for our family. And I ride different ways. I have 2 kids now. When we were having our second kid, it was really, I wanted to get an electric cargo bike, and I didn't want to not be able to do it and do it that way. So I'll ride with trailers. We have 2 trailers. Depends on how we need. And I have a electric cargo bike that I can actually take 4 kids on with the trailer and the 2 kids on the seats on the bike too. So it's great. And I've seen more parents starting to ride, and there's so many places you have to go. And right, we all and probably folks know that many of the distances aren't that long. So being able to do that. But I usually ride with a trailer when I can because I want the exercise on my work days. And then if I have to pop over to my sister's or the park at the end of the day, I'll often be like, okay, I already rode enough today. I'm going to get on my cargo bike and use the e-bike. But I love the flexibility that the cargo and the e-bike provide.
I do. Yeah. I love that the bicycle scales up and down according to what you need.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Which does mean that you have to remember to scale it up or down at the beginning of, if you're going to be out all day and you're like, oh, I'm going to need the trailer later in the day. You have to remember to take it out with you in the morning.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been awesome.
So you have a few beta clients lined up. What are kind of your hopes for the starting of this journey?
So I'm hoping, obviously my primary hope is that we have more people who get to ride in our beautiful city, but that folks, I'm giving you what you need to get going. So a friend that works at a hospital and just needs that support. It's about 3 miles from his house. I think we'll be able to get him to start riding, and he hasn't done it, right? So I think for all of us, that first time you ride anywhere can be nerve-wracking. But if you don't normally ride for transportation, it's extra so that I'm doing route planning for folks that you could, do a package and then it's a couple of times. So maybe we try out some different routes.
Yeah.
And, was it actually you really didn't want to ride on East Franklin, a street with bike lanes, and you'd rather have been in the neighborhood, whatever, sort of figuring things like that out for people. So to build up their confidence, their comfort, and get them going. So, and whatever that might be for someone. And I'm looking forward to figuring out and working with people on what their different goals will be. And the folks I'm thinking of just fall into such a range of different needs, from someone who's training for a marathon or like a former college athlete who are super fit and that's not their barrier. What are the questions to people who, are coming back from not having been able to walk and getting that back. So tailoring things and being able to work with people on their particular needs.
Do you have like a Google form that you have people fill out at the beginning that's like, oh, what are the things that you're looking for here?
I do. I think I need to add more questions to it. I'm also going to do, so my plan right now, and I would love for people to check out my website, which is bikeanywhere.org. But so I've got the questions, and then I'm going to do a 15-minute phone call and then meet people and do the ride. I think we all have had the experience of forms that are too long. So I'm trying to find the balance of getting the information I need and not overwhelming people before they get going.
Right. What is, so we talked about like helping people route plan. And obviously like when somebody has a very consistent, like I have to go to work and back many, many times, or like I have to take the kids to this particular daycare and back. But inevitably, like, you are going to find yourself having to visit other places, right? So like what are your kind of go-to basic tips for like route planning for an area that you are not familiar with? How do people go about figuring that out?
I think a lot of people don't know. I think Google Maps is a good place. It is a great starting point, and not everyone knows that you can turn on layers and you can turn on a bicycling layer. It's not perfect, but it is a good starting point, and it's a big $1 billion app. There's good features about it that everyone knows. So to start there and to think about what like if you know the area, then you can gut check for yourself what would that feel good? What do I think how that would be? And I think if you're brand new starting out, really to start small. So at the point of hiring me is you've built up your confidence on someone might hire me for a longer route, but you've built it up on that. And then you're more like, okay, I know what it feels like to ride on this street. I know what it feels like to ride there. Which did I like? Which didn't I like? And it's really personal. I know for me, it can really depend even on my mood.
Yeah, that's very true.
What do I want to deal with right now?
Right.
It depends on if my kids are with me or not, which talking about that being kind of silly because my kids they want to live and they want me to live. So, but there's streets I'm comfortable riding on with a trailer and streets I'm not comfortable riding on with a bike trailer. So,
yeah. What is your favorite place to ride your bike right now?
I'm going to say right now in our beautiful spring weather it is neighborhood streets and looking at the flowers. My kids and I like to rank the flowers we go by and cheer for our favorite lawns.
What does a flower ranking look like?
Oh, it's really sophisticated. How many colors does it have? Is it the top? How loud do we yell? That's those sort of things.
I love a good rubric, a good criteria sheet.
That's
for
right.
Sure. As a teacher, that speaks to me. As you're getting people like requesting consultations and sessions and things, what kinds of like, are there some goals that you're seeing pop up a lot? Is it mostly like commuting to and from work, or is it a variety of things that people are trying to do?
There's been some variety to it, because I've actually had a couple of people that are, aren't going to work, right? They're retired or something else. And so it's more in that category confidence, I might say, is a key goal that's coming up for people. As well as folks that so I know someone who's doesn't drive, transit user, and is training for a marathon now and wants to mix bicycling in, but just doesn't ride at all, so like needs to get like started on what would that look like.
Yeah.
And that feels really exciting because I think it's so awesome to be able to mix your bike in and how much like time and headspace gives back to your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And are you comfortable with like, engaging with contexts that you don't have that background in, like are you a marathon runner who is trying to get back, like have you had that kind of experience?
Oh, yes. I think the context that made me the most nervous is the 69-year-old who is, has osteoporosis and is worried about a fall, and I'm not a medical professional. So in that context, I want to make sure their doctor, their PT has cleared them, has said bicycling is okay. And then I'm like boosting up confidence, helping you with like getting on your bike again, balance, thinking about what's going to be smooth routes, what are, tips for that. We might I don't know if folks have noticed, but there are the adult trikes that I think look fine as an option for riding too. So that is a space that I'd want to just be careful in, because falling off your bike if you have osteoporosis is life-changing. So I wouldn't want to, but the like fitness goals feel fine. Fitness is really important to me. And I've not done bike racing, but I did a lot of group riding and long distance rides, and I got lots of running and sports in my life. So that's great. Well, I love to tell people as they're thinking about it, I'm in startup mode here with this bike commute coaching idea. I've been looking around the country for other people that maybe are doing this. In DC, there's a cycling concierge, but he seems more tourist.
Okay.
Angle. And I know if people know Recovery Cycle in Northeast, we'll do something kind of like this, which is cool. But just for people to be sharing ideas and ways they're thinking about it. I know we love being the most bicycle friendly city and metro area in the country. And I think having bike commute coaching as part of our ecosystem services is great. So, do you have friends who you might want to point my way? Is there a business? Is there an apartment building, a group that you think could be interested, or their residents or employees might be interested in this, as well as just ideas folks have? So always happy to hear about a great cut through route that you know of, or maybe you just have an amazing stockpile of photos that you'd want to share of bicycling, but like ways to connect.
How much of a risk are you taking here with starting your own business and everything? Like, is this, because you quit your job in order to do this. So
my partner is working. So right now I've given myself 6 months to try it, and it's slow. I think a key thing to learn is how slow starting something up takes. Everything takes a little bit more time maybe than you'd anticipate, or building a brand up, but that's okay. So my goal for the 6 months is that I have a sense of, is this viable or not? Are folks booking me? What does that look like? What are the needs? And how does it feel personally? It is really different, right? To be only yourself and not have coworkers to check in with. I love being part of a team. So figuring that out, I would say. Is
that part of like your long-term goal, is to be able to build a team around this?
I think that'd be awesome. It would be cool if, because what that would mean then is that there's all these people we're helping to start ride because they want that. And, people do want this in Roseville, in Richfield, in Hopkins.
And there's your systems change, right?
There's your systems change.
Fitness instructors, like we as a society are very familiar with that concept now, but this is, adjacent to, but going beyond that.
Totally. It feels, it's sort of frustrating in all the ways. When I'm setting up the Facebook page, when I'm registering the business, there's no correct way to register it. Like, I don't know what category to put it in. Yeah. And I think it speaks to, people are willing to spend money on their personal trainer. You can spend so much money on, the prescription drugs or et cetera, but why, to value built-in daily wellness that's giving you physical, mental health, and obviously climate benefits. I think the scalability is if you could get, your prescription for hiring a bike commute coach would be awesome.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think this is the kind of thing that I could pay for through my HSA, is it?
You should be able to.
Right.
You totally should be able to.
Right.
So I think that part of long-term, it'll be interesting to see, trying to figure out some of those things.
Yeah. Is that something that you as a business would have to navigate, is like getting yourself registered or listed in whatever system, approves who.
I think so. I've been thinking about that because you should be able to spend your HSA. You should if you can get, when you go to the gym and check that off, it should absolutely, right? It should count. So HR managers would love to hear from you.
I mean, you were talking about, wanting to go to places of employment and be like, yes, can I support your employees in trying to figure out how to bicycle to work and everything, and like that could be offered as an employee benefit if they wanted to. Yeah.
Right. Yep. So that would be, and I think it's important maybe for same way that you do for most of these, right? You pay a little bit because you're bought in, you have that, but no, to pay, yes, right? Like, could there be a copay for your bike commute coach? And you'd have to, you could verify that you actually wrote it, but
Yeah. And I imagine they would probably want to have it like as a category of like things that you could use this benefit for, and Mary is one of the options there, because not everybody's going to be interested in biking specifically, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And I've talked to folks at a U, and sort of things like, parking is really expensive, and you're telling someone about parking fees, and you're also offering them a supported way to not drive.
Right. Yeah. Carrots and sticks. They work together.
Yep.
And you want to be a carrot.
I want to be a carrot. That's right. And maybe it's good to have some sticks too.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really cool to figure out how many times do people, like, is one session enough?
Right.
Is 3 sessions what they need? How about if thinking about this 21-day package where I'm texting folks and we're checking in. Oh, how was the ride today? Oh, do you need me to come over and do it another time? Or oops.
Yeah.
And I think simple things, maybe people over worry about, I need to know how to fix a flat. I don't think you need to know how to fix a flat. You need to have a lock up your bike. Maybe you're calling an Uber. What is your plan for worse? It's not going to happen to you all the time. If it's happening to you all the time, something's going on with your bike.
Right. It might be time to buy some new tires.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
so I think people should know about bike racks.
How to properly lock to a bike?
Cargo
racks.
Cargo racks,
yeah.
Yes, on your bike itself, which not everyone... I didn't know about it for a while, and it's so much better than a backpack.
I know.
It's so much better than a backpack, so yeah.
I do not understand, bike couriers with their giant square backpacks. And I'm like, please take all of the weight off of my body. Let the bicycle carry it.
I would do some really heavy with the backpack right when I was a park ranger between St. Paul and Minneapolis with brochure maps, papers really heavy. It was awful. It hurt so much. And that's when I finally figured out that I could be using a rack and life is so much better.
Yeah. And that's, I feel like that. And when my parents gave me their old toddler trailer so that I could do grocery runs with my bike. Those were the two kind of, rapid expansions of me feeling like I could do stuff with my bike. Now, Mary isn't just serving individual clients. She also has contracted with entities like the U of M to lead group rides to help people get familiar with how to bike on and around campus. I joined one of those rides where Mary helped people adjust their bikes, showed us bike facilities like Washington Avenue, Bridge No. 9, and University Avenue, and stopped at key points to point things out. After the ride, I chatted with John Mark Lucas, whose office at Parking and Transportation Services hired Mary to lead the ride. So are you kind of like transportation demand management? Would you say that you fall into the TDM kind of realm?
Yeah, that's right. In fact, my position was expanded from just the bike programmer when I took the position to be the person who's trying to develop a travel demand management plan for the campus. And we are in the middle of developing that travel demand management plan. In fact, we're in a cohort of a pilot scheme with the Association for Commuter Transportation to be an accredited organization in travel demand.
Nice. All right. So we just got finished with a group bike ride hosted by Mary Blitzer. What did that partnership look like? How did that come about?
Yeah, that's a very good partnership for us, actually. I look at it as a staff augmentation. You don't usually have enough staff to develop programs for our students and our staff, employees, faculty. So it's nice to have vendors like Mary who would come to you and work as an LCI to host events with us.
Yeah. So what was the target demographic for this event? What were you hoping for people to get out of it?
It was basically targeting people who are, beginner bikers around the campus. We have a lot of people who are in our ZAP program already or who are regular commuters. So we wanted to reach out to people who are a bit nervous about biking and to tell them that, campus is very well equipped with bike infrastructure. It's so easy to get on your two wheels and ride to and from campus and enjoy, the campus and the environment.
Yeah, because it's not just on campus that the bike facilities are really nice. Like getting to and from campus, there's some nice connections as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And that's one thing that has really worked for us in partnership with the city and the county, in fact, because some of these roads are either city-owned or county road, to make sure that we have a good network of bike routes to and from the campus.
So, and this event was like there were eliminating as many barriers to entry as possible, right? Like you had bikes for people to borrow, you had helmets for people to wear. I noticed, this is one of the first times that I've seen this, but the old Nice Ride fleet now has you acquired a few of those bikes and you've got some U of M stickers on it and everything, so that's pretty fun. That's pretty exciting. Is that something that's available for like any student to use, or like what's the details there?
Yeah, they are available for any student to use. We're just coming to our second year of it. Last year we had a pilot for that. So we have about 150 bikes here on the Twin Cities campus. So you have the Gopher bikes, you also have the Bulldog bikes for Duluth and over for Morris. So we were able to acquire 280 bikes from Nice Ride as they were winding down. They kindly donated those bikes to us, and we've rebranded them and making them available for free to students, either for the term, for the year. And we are also positioning a fleet of bikes for the residential halls to take out on a daily basis.
I heard Morris, right? You've got a few of the Nice Rides are up there now?
Yeah, we have them for Morris as well. We worked with the sustainability offices that we have at its different campuses. Yeah. And they were very much interested in getting into the action, facilitated some of the rebranding of the bikes for.
I love that because I went to Morris, and that's, you're in a town that's a 5-minute bike ride across, right? So like those are super useful for everything out there.
Yeah, and the Morris partnership is actually interesting because they work with the local library as well to make it available, not just for the students, but actually, as a community program.
Nice, yeah. So many things up in Morris work that way, right? Like the rec center that's on campus, available for people to have a membership out in the community.
Yeah.
How do you think this event went? Was it, were you seeing the results that you wanted to? What are your metrics for success here?
Yeah, so, it went very well. I think for the size of the group that we got, it was just right for the number of ride leaders that we have. We had a good mix of people who have been biking around campus and a few of them who haven't ridden before. And in fact, a few of them who are just visiting the campus and wanted to know the campus a bit more. So yeah, it's good to be able to share, the programs that we have and, how the university really incentivizes active mobility around campus. So I think it was a successful, very successful program in the end. And we've got interest for upcoming rides. So it gives us momentum to start planning our rides for the fall.
Right. Yeah. Because late July, not a time of year when most students are going to be like on campus and thinking about all of this just yet. So you're expecting to be able to keep doing this and have probably more ridership or more people coming and attending, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We are planning one we had a homecoming bike party last year. So that was very well attended. We did it with the Joyful Riders. In fact, Bike MN was here with us. So it was a joint partnership with the local advocacy groups, and we're scheduled to do that again this year for Homecoming Week.
Nice. That's super cool. I love that you are taking advantage of all of the awesome organizations that exist here in town.
Well, it's just, a few of the reactions that you see when, I didn't know this tunnel is here, and I've been working here for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, it does take a bit of hand-holding to tell people what the amenities are. And that's something that I think we just need to be a bit more proactive about telling people and sharing, the facilities that are there, because it's not the sort of thing that you would normally explore on your own. Right. So that was very good in a way, getting the reactions about people surprised of things that they've never come across on campus and see,
and if you're used to driving around and you only ever use like Google Maps to drive around, then there's going to be a lot of bike connections that you are never going to see and not be aware of. And even if you're as a bike commuter, when I'm using Google Maps to navigate around, it thinks that it knows some of the best connections in an area, but then you talk to somebody who's lived in the area for 20 years and they're like, oh, here's a quick shortcut that I use all the time. And it's like that kind of shared knowledge of how do I discover these new things? Do I have to go out exploring on my own and find some of these shortcuts? Being aware of your surroundings and just noticing little things in the world.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, if you work on campus and you study on campus, you're pretty much, your environment is just around the immediate vicinity of your building. And unless you are a runner, maybe you'll explore more, but your range of, discovery is really not as big if you're just walking around and having a chance to get a bike and ride around campus just for the fun of it and get to discover places. I think a ride like this really brings that, the importance of that.
Yeah, I was just thinking about are you familiar with the Twin Cities bike tag game?
No.
So there's so it's structured. It's in a Facebook group, right? And the rules are whoever owns the tag currently, right? They post a picture of their bike at a spot that is publicly accessible and, publicly recognizable, right? And then everybody else in the group, they see that, and everybody tries to figure out where is this? Do I recognize any landmarks? How do I get there? And then the first person who gets there with their bike, they reply with a picture of their bike in that spot. Now that person owns the tag, and they have an hour to go somewhere else and create a new post. And so then that's the tag that everybody's trying to get to. I think that could be a really fun, if there was a campus-specific, a U of M bike tag game, really encourage people to get out and, explore and find, little corners of the campus that you wouldn't otherwise, travel to.
That is actually a great idea. We're looking to have different games incentivizing people, discovering the campus. Yeah, you've given me some idea something to try out, for Welcome Week, where we're trying to introduce the students to campus. Yeah. It's a good way to get to know your campus.
A scavenger hunt of some kind.
Yeah. That's such a great idea. Yeah, I mean, for us, for the kids around campus, there's definitely quite a lot to look forward to. We're doing a lot of construction to bike lanes that the county is doing on 4th and University. The city is doing the separated bike lanes on the street. So now that would connect from 6th all the way to East River Road. So there's a lot more coming and a lot of improvement to happen. It's just a case of get your wheels and come explore the campus.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having us, and thanks for coming and enjoying the ride with us.
We've alluded to transportation demand management a few times in this episode, so let's dive a little deeper into that. Typically, TDM is done by nonprofit organizations who receive grants to work within a specific geographic boundary. So, for example, Move Minneapolis serves downtown Minneapolis. They often work with employers in that area to put on events, programming, messaging to shift commuters and residents away from taking trips by car. They have been putting on a like monthly webinar series that has frustrated me personally, because every time that I have a good idea for a podcast episode, it seems like they create a webinar about that exact topic soon after I think of that idea. But yeah, another novel approach is the Bicycle Alliance of Minnesota's Pedal Pals program, where they match up experienced cyclists who are willing to volunteer to meet up with someone who wants more support in, integrating bicycling into their lives. So the areas of focus of that program are pretty similar to Mary's. A lot of people want help with route planning, confidence building, general bicycle advice, though the expectation is only for those pedal pals to meet up just the once. So the community-oriented angle of the Pedal Pals program is very compelling to me, and I've had the opportunity to volunteer as a Pedal Pal once so far. I found it to be a very rewarding experience. So if you are interested in, learning more about Move Minneapolis, Pedal Pals, any other transportation demand management stuff, you can find some links to those things in the show notes. All right, to finish off this episode, I also got to catch up with one of Mary's individual clients, Patty O'Keefe. Patty, I understand that you and Mary know each other from time working together at Sierra Club, right?
Yep, that's right. We were coworkers.
Yep, and so you're still working at Sierra Club right now. So, can you tell me what were your goals when you took Mary up on her offer to hire her to consult with the Bike Anywhere business?
Sure. Well, I think I have been car dependent for longer than I want to be. And I had lived in Uptown for 8 years prior to living in the neighborhood that I live in now in South Minneapolis. It was much easier to live in Uptown because everything is so dense and walkable. So I didn't do as much biking there just because I did a lot of walking. But then when I moved further into South Minneapolis, things aren't as dense, things aren't as walkable. And so I was just relying on my car a lot for getting around, including for my commute to work. And I made it my New Year's resolution that I was going to get a bike, a functioning bike, and to bike more than I drove this year. But I was, intimidated at the prospect of doing that because I have never been a regular biker. Always have just been kind of a recreational biker, and have never used it as a main form of commuting. And so I was super excited that Mary started this business at the same time as I was kind of developing these goals for myself around biking. And it just felt like a really opportune time to learn more from her, given she is a bike commuter, bike enthusiast extraordinaire.
Yeah. I imagine that New Year's resolutions probably play very heavily in Mary's favor here.
Yes, for sure.
So you were wanting to, just in general, not just commutes, but like general biking lifestyle. Yeah. How far is like the ride to work?
So far it's been around 35 to 40 minutes.
That's the sweet spot. That's so perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about this switch so far of trying to bike more often and in more context?
I mean, I just feel better, I will say. Being able to get more exercise, even just 1-2 days a week, I can tell that my mental health is better for it. I feel more in shape. I'm, working and, sweating a little, more than I used to. And just getting that like cardio workout in has been really, really great for for, just feeling better all around, but also reducing my carbon footprint. I've work at the Sierra Club and have been working on environmental and climate issues for over a decade. And so obviously I'm thinking about my carbon footprint and my impact a lot. And, taking this step around biking was, instead of driving, was kind of like this big next step for me, and how I could, just kind of take some more personal responsibility in my life, as I'm also working and others are working to change systems, right?
Yeah. What were you looking to get out of the Bike Anywhere consultations? Like, were there specific pieces of help that you were looking for? Did you just want like the accountability buddy aspect? Like, what was that? What was your motivation there?
Yeah, there were a few things. One, Mary said that she was able to help me with figuring out a route to work. And I just did not know what the best route was going to be. And when I put the route in Google Maps, it gave me a route that I wasn't super excited about going on because they were kind of busy streets that didn't have great bike infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So Mary was able to help me with route planning and find a route that felt kind of safe and right for me and where I'm at with my biking journey, that made it feel less overwhelming. And then, I think having that accountability and someone to just kind of get me over the hump of just doing it, right? I had thought so many times about, I should bike to work. I should just bike to work. But doing the actual program with Mary, we just did it, right? And it made it feel way more tangible, way more achievable, and got me over that hump of kind of, that I'd been stuck at for a while.
And how many of those like ride-alongs did you do?
We did 2 ride-alongs, and then we did one other session where she was showing me some basic bike maintenance and repairs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like stuff that you can do out in the field on your own or like at home?
Things that you could do at home, but also while you're biking. Say if you get a flat tire, she taught me how I can change a flat, and then just taught me how to grease my chain and make sure that things are in kind of good working order. How to make sure that my tires are at the right pressure, etc.
Yeah. I remember when I first started bike commuting, and like I already knew how to change a flat and everything, and so I thought I was all golden there until the first day that I got a flat tire and I'm changing it, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm in the middle of this trail and I don't have a pump. That's kind of important. Like, it was just like it never occurred to me like, oh right, I need to have a tiny pump that goes on my bike.
Yes. Those are also things that I'd never thought of before. So she was able to let me know that I needed a pump and I need these little plastic things that
the little levers,
that remove, the tire. And so she was able to give me some gear recommendations as well for, what to wear and when it's raining or snowing. And all of it was super helpful.
Yeah.
Mary was also very helpful with answering questions about how do you bike on the roads? Like, what are the right signals to use? What is the right kind of like spatial awareness that you need to have regarding how your proximity to cars or your proximity to, pedestrians and things like that. And so, I grew up in the suburbs, riding around on bikes. So it's not like I was like totally new to biking. So I think I thought I don't know. I learned more than I thought I was going to. And
having the full picture is so valuable. Are there any things like any types of errands or trips or things that you never thought like, oh, like it never occurred to you that this was going to be like a bike thing, but that you have tried out and found success in?
So So far, I think just going to the grocery store, I got a rack put on the back of my bike, and then I got some saddlebags or panniers. And I went to the grocery store last week and was able to like get my groceries for the week and put them on my bike and bike home. And that was the most rewarding feeling. I was so excited. So I was just like, yeah, I can go and I can get groceries. I have the ability to haul some things right on my bike. It feels like, going to the hardware store to pick something up, going to, the thrift store. I don't know. I
Right.
just feel like I can do a lot now.
Yeah. Isn't that such a huge confidence booster? Like I'm not giving up all of this, like, opportunities for random things that'll come up during the day. Like, I am prepared for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Prepared for it. And in doing so, I know that I'm just going to become a healthier person,
Mm-hmm.
I think. So it's like, yeah, it's both empowering and exciting just in terms of like, kind of like how the health impacts, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Been a couple months. And how's it been going, post sessions, now that you're out there on your own?
Yeah, it's been going well. I have not had a flat yet, so I haven't had the opportunity to test out that skill. But I've been biking to work at least once a week, if not twice a week, and that's been really, really great. And then doing a lot of biking around the trails by my house and biking to friends' houses and things like that. So all around, just using my bike a lot more, which means that I'm getting to spend more time outside and and overall just like really taking more advantage of the summer than I have in a long time.
That's awesome. What's your favorite place to bike to right now?
So I do an activity called slacklining.
Oh.
Is where it's just kind of like tight roping, but
slack.
Yeah, exactly. And you're harnessed in and everything. And so I will bike down the Minnehaha Creek Trail, which is fairly close to my house, and then go down across Ford Parkway to the Mississippi River, and we'll do slacklining in this gorge, on the Mississippi River. So I do that a couple times a week with friends, and that's been a fun thing to bike to.
Now that you're kind of getting into the swing of it, like, what are your next goals?
I think my goals are just to kind of maintain what I'm doing now, and keep building like my strength, keep building my like familiarity with being on, and comfortability with being on my bike, and bike through the summer, through the fall, and then who knows, maybe I will try out winter biking, but we'll see. I'm not sure about that yet.
Yeah.
But, never say never.
Never say never. Yeah, I mean, it's similar to figuring out how to do groceries by bike, right? Like getting over the hump of figuring out winter cycling, I found was also a similarly like empowering experience. It is a very different, like from a gear perspective, right? There's more considerations, but like, it is just another thing that you can figure out how to do.
Totally. Yes. And I feel like I can do it,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe this year we'll give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if not this year, I mean, there are many, many more winters to come, I'm sure. This last winter would have been a good first one to try it out.
Would have been a great first year of winter biking. Yeah. I've just realized more and more how that's such a big part of it. And it feels like overwhelming and scary because we're so dependent on our cars and so used to the, I think, perceived convenience that comes with, driving around in cars. But there's so many benefits to getting away from that when it comes to like our environment, our own personal health, our mental health, and being able to spend more time outside and not in a dark little box.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes like, that perceived convenience is also like, that is a hump to get over as well. Like once I became familiar with biking on a day-to-day basis and, that became kind of the default, then my understanding of like the conveniences of different modes of transportation kind of shifted, and I started to realize like, oh, there are situations where like I'm getting places faster on bike than I would have in a car, or like, going grocery shopping, for example, like I would often forget to bring bags with me, but now the bags are just like, they're there on the bike already. Yes. Little things like that, little details.
Yeah. And like I have not been spending that much on gas because I've been biking around so much. There's just like just avoiding like the fuel cost of driving is such a big benefit as well.
Right. Yeah. It is incredible like how quickly that factor comes into play. Like you look at the total financial picture of like owning a car, and you think like, oh, if I didn't have to own a car at all, like, the maintenance and the insurance and like all of the expenses go away. But like you don't have to wait for all of those extra expenses to go away to reap the benefit of just like saving on some gas, on a week to week basis.
Yeah. Saving on gas and saving on the wear and tear.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can go out and, do your research and, do those things as well, but for me, being someone who does sometimes need a little bit more of that kind of like accountability, or just didn't feel like I had like all of like the time and the motivation to go and like do a lot of that research and just kind of get into it. So this was like just because it's kind of like a stepping stone that helped make it feel just like more accessible and easier for me to transition into this world. So yeah, it was a really great experience. I'd recommend it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. Patty, thanks for coming on the show.
Bike Anywhere is the name of my business. It's if you put in like bikeanywhere.org to look me up, and really would love to hear from you. I'm totally in this startup phase. I'd take a ride with you. We could get a coffee, get your ideas, following on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, it's great.
Sweet. Mary, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Ian.
I look forward to seeing how this goes.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Streets.mn podcast. The show is released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Non-Derivative license, so feel free to republish the episode as long as you are not altering it and you are not profiting from it. The music in this episode is by Eric Brandt and the Urban Hillbilly Quartet. This episode was hosted and edited by me, Ian R. Buck, and transcribed by Sherry Johnson. We're always looking to feature new voices on the Streets.mn podcast, so if you have ideas for future episodes, drop us a line at podcast@streets.mn. Streets.mn is a community blog and podcast and relies on contributions from audience members like you. If you can make a one-time or recurring donation, you can find more information about doing so at streets.mn/donate. Find other listeners and discuss this episode on your favorite social media platform using the hashtag StreetsMNPodcast. Until next time, take care.